and looking at our own stories. And you know, we need support when we do that. When I first started Aware Parenting, I didn't know anybody who did it. So I convinced my best friend to read the book because she was having a baby as well. So we could workshop it together. And so for a while, it was just me and her talking about it and how it would feel and all those kind of things. And then I found a slightly bigger community and then created a big community here in Melbourne, you know, where there's lots of different Aware Parenting instructors and people who are into it. So, you know, reach out and find that community because you definitely need it. You need the support about how it feels when your kids are really losing it, and to hold that centre. And because again, it's not what society says is what we should do, you know, and that's why we need extra support.
For parents who have more than one child, how would Aware Parenting look in their household? How could you have this one-on-one connection time with one child when you have multiple children around?
Yes, so excellent question. So I'll talk about it in two parts. One part is what I really believe in, having what we call special time, which is just with one child if you can. So whether there's someone else to be with the other children or the other children are doing something and they're occupied, where you say we're going to have special time. And so it's for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever works for you. Set a timer on your phone. And for that time, you are just 100% focused on that one child. And often that, particularly when there's siblings, what that does is it gives that one sibling the opportunity to just fully connect with you. Because when there is more than one child, we're always sharing, you know, parents. So, and if you start doing that with each child, what happens in the family is the child goes, oh, they're having special time. I know I'll get to have it later as well. So they're very accepting of the special time. And in that special time, it allows you to have that beautiful, sweet connection with your child to just fill up their cup in that way, which allows them to feel more balanced. So I believe that special time should be, you know, just mandatory in all houses, and it can just be 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be if the younger siblings have gone to bed and the older one, let's have 15 minutes of special time before bed. And what do you want to do? It's all about whatever that child wants to do. So that's a beautiful way to create those foundations of aware parenting, of having that connection. I've also found too that, and it's tricky when you have little ones, but if somebody's needing a really big release or a big cry, you know, being able to try and hold the space for them, plus also still making sure the other kids are okay, is tricky. It definitely is tricky. But what I've learned over the years is that the more you can try and do that for your children, the more the children learn that when someone's upset, they just do what they need to do. And then when that person's finished being upset, then they'll come to you with their upsets. They just take in turns, you know. Yep. I've found that over the years with my kids, that if one really needed a meltdown, the other two would just go and do whatever they needed to. And then when that was finished, they'd kind of check in and then they'd bring me whatever they had going on. So as the mum, I was like, oh my God, I'm just taking turns. But they learned that they're just having a release, they need to let it out, and I'll let them have that space and then do it. So I really hear when we have little ones and toddlers, that's harder to do, but the more that we model empathetic listening and holding space, the more that imprints on our children as well, that they begin to see that. And so, you know, I remember when having a baby like in my lap and my 4.5-year-old having the biggest rage, you know, so I would just stay as connected as I could to the 4.5-year-old whilst holding the baby. You know, it was tricky at times, but, you know, I got better and better at it, and we just learned how to adapt, you know. Or sometimes, you know, children will learn that if mum can't hold that space, they'll have to wait for another parent to come home, and then they can really let it out, you know, if the other space is being held somewhere. So it is definitely a juggle. I hear that. I mean, my biggest tips are really have special time with each child if you can, you know, through the week, you know, whether it's just once or twice a week, you know, either parent or just you or different combinations of that. So filling up their cup as much as you can so that they don't need to have those massive releases. And then when we do release feelings, just, you know, reassuring the other children, it's okay, it's really normal. We're just I'm going to help them get out their feelings, and then they'll feel better. So in the beginning, it can feel very foreign to do, but the more you do it and the more practice you get at it, the more it just becomes normal in the family. You know, like I mean, we've been doing it for a long time now. So if someone does lose it, everyone else is like, oh, yeah, they're just having a release. It's normal. We just see it as completely normal. Do they need anything? You know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So you mentioned a little bit there about the period of time where a child has to deal with having another sibling, a new baby sibling. what are your suggestions for attachment play in this situation, and other major life changes like moving house or going to school or toilet training or weaning from breastfeeding and things like that?
Yeah, all great big changes in children's lives. So again, I always come back to that your child will show you what they need to help them process. So particularly if there's a new baby coming along, I find that the older kids will want to do a lot of aggression play, which is normal. They want to be the baby, and so to really just play along with them within that. Once the baby does come along, I find that playing lots of laughter games, like playing, I used to play families, so we'd have like a family of trains or trucks or whatever, and that would be mummy and that would be daddy and that would be my child and then that would be the baby. And I'd say to the child, where does the baby need to live? And they'd go, in the toilet. And I'd go, what? In the toilet? And then they'd cack themselves laughing. It was always giving them the opportunity to take out how they felt about the baby through play. So we don't really want them to, punch the baby or hit the baby because they're angry, but it's okay for them to do it with the trucks, so letting the child lead how they really feel about it. I think we are very big on how wonderful you've got a new baby, but for a lot of kids, it's like, it's not wonderful. I now have to share, and where's my connection to mum and dad? So it's so normal for them to have a lot of anger and rage around that. So giving them the opportunity to safely take out that rage. So doing lots of rumbling and wrestling play, lots of stuff around where they get to be stronger and they get to take out their big feelings. So those kind of things are really important to do. Things around toileting are big. So, playing, getting dolls and getting them their own little potty and getting the child to act out that, having mistakes, laughing around it, being the mummy who has to go to the potty. Quick, I need to go to the potty, take me to the potty, like getting the child to help you. Those kind of things can be really fun, silly stuff to do. I mean, my best thing is be silly, be stupid, and follow the laughter. If they're laughing at what you're doing, then you're doing a really great job, So it's easy to overthink it and go, should I do this or should I do that? But I think if you just create the space and say, I'm here to play with you and what do you want to do, they will lead you into wherever they need to do. So moving houses is a huge one for kids. And so again, that can feel really powerless for them, so playing power reversal games can be great. You might build houses with cubbies and knock it down, there's infinite possibilities of what you can play, and I often think if you just follow your child's lead, they'll show you what they need to do. One thing I do want to just mention though about play is about tickling, because that's something that we talk about, that we really don't support tickling children, because particularly that kind of where you pin them down and tickle them hard, even though they feel like they might be laughing, that can feel really a little bit scary for kids because they can't get away. I remember being pinned down, being tickled when I was younger, to the point where I wet myself, from my older brother. And it was very, very distressing. And to this day, I can't handle it if somebody tickles me. So tickling is a way that I think sometimes parents try and connect, and there's laughter, but you can hear what is safe laughter and then you can hear distressed laughter. So with tickling, I usually say, and parents will say, but my kid loves it. And I'm like, do it in a way where they have the ability to move away if they need to. So it might just be tickling the bottom of their toe and then they can pull their toe away if they want. Or play it where the threat is that they're going to tickle you and you're going to run away hysterically because you don't want to be tickled. They find that hilarious as well. So I just always say be mindful about tickling, because it can feel just really disempowering to children sometimes. But do it in a way where they still have control over their bodies and they're still able to move. That's a big way to do it.
So how important is this approach to parenting for the well-being of our children?
That's a great statement, question, and I feel like for me it is just fundamental. I think aware parenting is the best thing I've ever done as a mother, because I see now the results in my teenage children. I see the beautiful individuals that they are, who have really incredible empathy and compassion with the world. They're attuned to people because they're attuned to themselves, and the deep sense of connection and love we have in our house, because they know that we accept them for no matter who they are. All the work I've done with Aware Parenting over the years, with my counselling and workshops, whenever I work with a parent who's got something going on with their child and we take a look at what that's bringing up for them, it always comes back to the same thing, which is that as a child, for most people, we just didn't feel fully seen or heard or accepted for who we were. We had to fit into a mould to keep us safe or happy. Often any wounds we have is that we just really needed love and connection and acceptance. And that's what we're trying to give our children, is that love, acceptance and connection, so that they can grow up to be adults who are free to be who they need to be. What I see in my teenage children, after doing this for a long time, is such a strong sense of self. They know who they are. They don't buy into kind of what the peer group says. They are deeply connected. You know, my 17-year-old son, who's like 6'1", you know, the minute he walks in the door, he comes and cuddles me and, how are you, mum, and what's been going on? And he wants to share his life with me, and he shares all the intimate parts and the parts where there is a bit of danger and there's different bits and pieces, but he knows that he can come to us with anything, because we've built up this deep foundation and connection about everything is okay. We see you and accept you for who you are. And within that also, he's big at taking risks and putting himself out there, because he knows he's got nothing to lose, you know. So I just, you know, the rewards are so great. I can't even begin to express how amazing it is. Not only does it create more harmony in your house, like there's no yelling, the siblings don't fight, you know, they don't need to, because everybody's getting their needs met in the way that's healthy for them. Not only that, it's made mothering so much more enjoyable. Before I did Aware Parenting, I was a pretty strung out, angry mum, I think. I never looked after myself. I was always trying to keep everybody happy. And with this, I learned that in order for me to be the best mum I can be, I need to look after myself. I need to be anchored. I need to be centered so I can hold the space for my children. But the only way I can do that is if I look after myself first. So it was as beneficial for me as it was for my children. And I just, not only all the couples and people I've worked with over the years with Aware Parenting, but what I see in my kids, I just think it is basically setting up something that is so important for the planet, which is to have humans who have empathy and connection and will feel what they need to feel, you know, not only for their emotional bodies, for their physical bodies as well. So I just see it as a gift to humankind, really. And look, it's not easy and it's confronting, and there's going to be times where you think, this is bullshit. Like it pushes up all your own stuff. Mm-hmm. But like anything in the world, if you're willing to do the work and if you're willing to go there, the rewards are so sweet. It's amazing. I can't rave about it highly enough. You know, life-changing for me as a mum. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for talking with me today, Lael, and giving us so much insightful information about Aware Parenting.
My pleasure.